The next-gen robot that you see here is actually the genesis to a lot of our floor cleaning history. A lot of people think we just started with Roomba and knew exactly what we wanted to do, but this is where it really began. This robot was a partnership with Johnson Wax, and we were asked to think about how you could use robots to clean things like box stores, supermarkets, think Target, Walmart, really large floor spaces. So we developed this robot. The robot actually needed a person with it. And we did the demo, everything was going great, but eventually the realization was, by the time you train the person, get the robot up and running, if that person moves on in job, you're training another person, and it just wasn't efficient. However, we learned an awful lot about floor cleaning. And that was kind of how we got started at iRobot. Similar to the toy doll, similar to a lot of our other technologies, we knew how to make the technology. And people would pay us for the technology, but give us a reason to implement it. So here, we were learning about floor cleaning. We had an implementation, but when it didn't work out, we still had that technology to apply. And so we took what we learned about floor cleaning and brought it over to what eventually became, let's do this in somebody's house, and Roomba was born. The Ava robot was one of the earlier pieces of technology we worked on as a telepresence robot. You can see her prototype next to her, but Ava allowed us to be someplace without physically going there. We made a lot of this technology before we ever knew anything about FaceTime or Zoom or any of the things that became so important to us during a pandemic. But we built for Ava from the waist down. And so her sensors are in her belly, and down below, those sensors are things like LiDAR, sonar, infrared, and they allow the robot to build a map of the space that it's in. So Ava essentially became one of our first consumer products that was using mapping. She connected with an app, just like many of our robots do today. You would use the app and that map together to send Ava to a location. On her screen would then be who you're speaking with, and you were able to interact with a person, much like we do today on a Zoom technology. What made Ava so special is that with Zoom, FaceTime, or any of the other web interactions, you're reliant on somebody in the room to move that laptop if you want to see anything other than where the camera's pointed. With Ava and the app, you could actually turn the head of the robot and readjust as you go. So if you're in a meeting and someone says, now take a look at the whiteboard, you have the control to turn the robot and actually look at that whiteboard as well. And so Ava was highly successful, spun out into its own company as well, but we're really proud of what she did, and we're using it here in the museum today for remote tours as well. But that mapping technology, you can see it today as it's progressed into Roomba and allowed us to do amazing things. So we're really proud of the work that we did in defense and security and other industries through our iRobot history. We would not be here today without that work. But of course, we really want to talk about the work that we are doing today, which is our friend Roomba and other robots that we have for cleaning in your home. But let's go back in time and talk a little bit about the history. You had seen how the next gen gave us that inspiration for cleaning in homes. Well, from there, once we decided we could do this in somebody's house, we built what we call proof of concept. Proof of concept is our robot friend Scamp, and that says, I think I have a really good idea, but am I the only one that thinks so? I probably should check. And so we always build something and check out with others to say, is this something that we really should be doing? So Scamp was our proof of concept, round robot, had some kind of a cloth on the bottom, cleaning in homes, and everybody said, yeah, this seems like a great idea. So we went ahead and we built the prototype for what was later to become Roomba. And you see that here with Dust Puppy. Dust Puppy had a sweeping electrostatic cloth on the bottom. It would run around your house and sweep, and we thought we were the coolest people on the earth because we're going to come and sweep in your home. Well, it turns out that people have rugs. And if you have rugs, you're really not interested in a sweeping robot. You want a vacuum cleaning robot. Once again, those customers were loud and clear what they wanted, so we brought it back, re-engineered the prototype, put the vacuum in, and that's when we began to get what we call today Roomba. So you can see there are many models of Roomba that are out on the market today. They vary from some that have their own dock that you can actually get the dirt to go up into and not have to empty the bin. Some you empty the bin, and we've even built a mop called the M6, which allows you to mop your floors in your home. So the way the robot works, on the front is where you see the buttons. The big one says clean, makes it very easy to know what to do. In the back, your side brush is going to spin. It throws all the dirt in between, goes in between those rollers, and eventually lands itself in our dirt bin. And when the robot's all done, you just shake that out up into the trash. Very simple, and your house is cleaned. Of course, it's a robot. A lot of people didn't understand why they'd even have to empty that bin, and that's why we developed the dock that evacuates the robot on its own. The robot has a lot of sensors. Underneath, it's using infrared sensors to know where that floor is. We certainly don't want the robot tumbling off your stairs or over an edge or what we call cliffs. And so that infrared light is showing the robot where that floor is. And if the robot gets over to an edge, it knows because the light takes a long time to travel up and back to the robot. The wheels themselves have sensors. Again, you'd never drive your car with one wheel in and one wheel out. And so that allows the robot to know that it's on a flat surface. And lastly, one of the sensors we can talk about is this little guy. It's sending out an infrared signal. The dock itself also has infrared, and so the two pair up and the robot's able to find its way back home. Now, all of these robots are actually on Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, and so that enables the robot to work off of an app. And so even if I'm not home, I'm able to bring up the app, see the robot, and tap to start the robot cleaning. You can run them on a schedule as well. What's really fun is that when the robot's all finished, I get a notification, but I also can see the map of where the robot traveled. Our robots are using different technology, including cameras, to develop that map as they clean. So I see where it went, I see how long it took, and I see how much dirt the robot picked up. So all of that technology together makes the robot very thoughtful, very intelligent as it cleans its way through your home.